Howdy, folks, and welcome to episode 17 of the Rico and Declan College Football Show. I'm your host, Rico. Declan is sleeping. He will not be on these evening podcasts because they are way too late, past his bedtime. He will be involved with the Reels for college football picks starting on this Saturday as we preview Week 0. Really enjoyed last night's episode covering the rest of the Big Ten. If you didn't catch it on YouTube. Like, comment, and subscribe. We went over the rest of the Big Ten. I like USC. I like Washington. I like Illinois. Not too high, and I like Minnesota, but I'm not too high on Purdue, Michigan State, Maryland, Rutgers. So if you want to catch my opinion about those teams, watch episode 16. But let's go right into business. Some college football news happened this evening. Actually, earlier today, the Big Ten said that if anybody is playing NFL players, coaches can get suspended. I'm a fan of this, actually. I think that it's a way to combat against, all these guys who have eligibility from playing, so. And now the SEC, NFL, NBA, WNBA players cannot return. So this is breaking new world. So the unanimous opposition to athletes leaving the NFL and returning to college teams, swiftly passing a new conference rule that gives Commissioner Greg Sankey full authority to enforce it with penalties. So I don't think LSU is going to have that tight end that they were supposed to get, who was on the Browns, and he was a former Ole Miss recruit from Lane Kiffin. With a step-by-step explanation, the SEC announced its institutions are not permitted to have an athlete on its roster who has, 1, previously declared for the NFL or NBA, WNBA draft and did not appropriately withdraw. This is combating also Alabama when they were having some G League players, signed a contract with an NFL or other professional football league, NBA and G League. So I love this rule. This is awesome. Been listed on an NFL or other professional football league, NBA, G League, or WNBA affiliate roster. It's authorized to enforce this expectation with penalties against member institutions. So Daquan Wright, it's going to be interesting. I don't think he's going to be eligible now. We'll see. Yeah, and then R.J. Lewis, who's he had planned on playing for LSU. He was also a G League player, so we'll see how that goes. I actually like this rule. And the Big Ten, like I said before, they were the first ones to implement it. Now the SEC is joining. I'm sure the ACC will follow suit. Vols linebacker Carter suspension reduced to 1 game. Arian Carter, why did he get suspended? Oh, yeah, this was the most stupid thing. So he got suspended because he accepted a $427 flight from an agent after he declared for the NFL draft. He gets suspended for a game for that? Like, I don't understand it. He had 76 tackles, 1.5 sacks, and 1 fumble recovery last season. So he's a big part of the Vols' defense, so Tennessee needs him. So I guess he's not going to be eligible for that game against Louisville. Duke favors consistency in tapping Egget as QB1. That's not going to work out well. He was the San Jose State transfer. What team did he play for before? San Jose State. I was right. Walker Egget is now going to be the star for them. Okay. So tonight we're going to cover the SEC. Not all the teams, but I'm going to cover at least 9 of them because there's All right, let me look it up. Actually, 8 of them because there's 16 teams in total. So we're going to cover in alphabetical order. I'll run down the list and I'll stop when we are ready. We're going to cover Alabama, Arkansas, Auburn, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, LSU, and Mississippi State. Mississippi State, I'll be real, I'm not going to really look at their roster. I don't think they're going to be a good team. I think they can win 6, maybe 7 games. So that's the one team I'm like, I don't really care for. Kentucky is interesting. I think I'm going to cover them a little bit more. I'm going to go in-depth analysis about them because I really like what they did in the transfer portal. Kenny Menchie, we'll see how he plays. But let's start off with Alabama. So Alabama's being led by Kalen DeBoer. And DeBoer, I think he gets a lot of flack, but he's actually a good coach. And I think that Alabama fans need to get off their high horse. I think they need to realize that DeBoer is not Saban. No one's going to top Nick Saban. No one will ever be Nick Saban. Nick Saban was the best coach that ever coached college football, in my opinion. You got Bear Bryant, him, Woody Hayes for Ohio State, but above all, I would take Nick Saban over any of them. And the fact that, people are giving flack to Kalen DeBoer because he's not Nick Saban is ridiculous. I think DeBoer has done a good job with Alabama. I don't think he's done a great job. They do need to improve on their defense is fine. That's not the problem. They have to improve on their running game, and they need to improve on expectations. So I'm going to go over this in detail. Let's look at their roster. I'm going to use ESPN again. I thought that was a lot easier to use than Ourlads because Ourlads, it has so many ads. I love Ourlads, but it's just annoying. And Keelan Russell is going to be the starter. He was named the starter. I believe it was yesterday or the day before. I like this move. He's a true freshman, yes, but he's super talented. He threw for over 3,000 yards, 38 touchdowns, and only 3 picks in his senior season of high school. Sorry if you hear that noise in the background. That's Declan's bottle cleaner for his bottles. But yeah, he's at 6'3", 201. I'm going to share a screen this. Hang on one second. Totally forgot to do that. So he's the starter. And if things go bad, which they could with the QB position, they do have Austin Mack. I think he was battling with Austin Mack for that starter spot. And Austin Mack, he's a taller QB at 6'6", 232. But Keelan is definitely more talented. And I think Keelan has the ability to be a bona fide number 1 starter. And my apologies, I said he was a freshman. He's a sophomore. Keelan played against Indiana in the Rose Bowl when it was a total blowout, and Ty Simpson had been knocked out of the game. So Keelan got some reps in that blowout loss to Indiana. But I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be talented. Let's look at their running backs. This is where I have some question marks. Their running game, it was one of the worst in the country, not just in the SEC, but in the country. They need to get a better I think Daniel Hill is the main starter. He's a junior. He's got good size at 6'1", 236. So maybe Daniel Hill, if he can break out, and let's say, for instance, he gets 500 yards or more. He only 75 carries. He can definitely break out. He's got good size. He could be the saving grace in this offense. They need a running game. Khalifa Keefe, he's a senior. Nothing much about him. I guess he barely plays, which is interesting because he's got good size. It's at 6'1", 232. Some of these guys are built like Derrick Henry. It's like, what are we doing? A.K. Deere. All right, he played decent. He probably packed up some pounds in the summer to get stronger in the offseason. So, and then they have Kevin Riley. I think that's another guy. Yeah, Kevin Riley's decent. But honestly, if I'm them, I would start the bigger backs. You know, you start Daniel Hill or Khalifa Keefe, not Khalifa Keefe, A.K. Deere. I think you have a good option there. And then they also have Frederick Moore, who didn't even play, so I don't know if they're going to use him. But Daniel Hill and A.K. Deere are the two guys I think they should revolve the running game over. Not to say Riley's a bad running back. He's a good running back, but he's not as good. Wide receivers, so they lost some guys to the draft. It's definitely different than what they had last season. Laudazir Brooks, I think he's in the slot. Let's see his stats. Yeah, he's a slot receiver at 5'9", 193. Decent stats. He's going to improve on that. He's fast. He played good in some games. They also have Ryan Williams, as we all know. That's interesting. He put in Coleman. I guess he changed his last name. Ryan Williams was disappointing last season. I think this is a guy that is due for a great season. I think he's due to bounce back from a tough second season. And the other thing too is that he is talented. Like Ryan Williams, he can make so many highlight plays, especially when he played against Georgia in that Saturday night game. Not last year, but the year before. He really had a showing that he could be one of the best receivers in the country. His problem is drops. He's got to lessen the drops. He's also got to get more receptions in traffic. I feel like sometimes when the pass is thrown to him and someone's near him, he kind of drops the ball. He's afraid of contact. So Williams is definitely talented, and if he has a great junior year, he will be a first-round pick in the draft. I don't think he's a top 10 pick, but he's top 25 level worthy of getting drafted in the NFL. So we'll see how that goes. But that's interesting. He changed his last name. I don't know if it's always been Ryan Coleman Williams, or I'm just an idiot and I just noticed it. Tyler Henderson's another guy. Well, actually, no, there's no stats about him. I'm sorry. I don't know really anything about their wide receiver room except for Ryan Williams. A lot of freshmen. I think Elijah Murray played last season. Let's see. No, he did not. Noah Rogers, he should have played. Yeah. So Rogers and Williams are going to be the two main guys in their receiving room. You have to rely on those two guys. And then, like I said before, in the slot, you got Laudazir Brooks. So Brooks, Williams, and Rogers, they are all talented receivers. I think Warner Ross played a little bit. No, he did not. I don't know why I thought he played. Tight ends, let's look at their tight ends here. Danny Lewis, he's a senior, didn't play much. He'll probably be a blocking tight end. Peyton Fox, nothing about him. Jay Lindsey, maybe? Nothing much about him. Jack Samarco, nothing about him. Oh, sorry. Jackson Shuttlesworth. No, nothing about him. They got all these tight ends, but they didn't play. I don't get that. Maybe Caleb Edwards. Okay, he had okay stats. 6'6", 268. Why isn't he playing? Josh Ford, maybe? Yeah, they don't really use the tight ends. It's mostly the receivers. So Williams, again, the guys that they're going to go to are Williams, Rogers, and Brooks. You know, Williams, Brooks, and Rogers. Those are the main guys. And looking at their defense, they have a lot of guys coming back. I do like their offensive line. A lot of seniors and juniors coming back. That's going to help. Kendrick Bingley Jones. Nothing much about him. Jeremiah Beeman. Nothing about him. Leslie Black, 2.5 sacks. Okay. The secondary is their strength. I think the secondary is going to do a lot of damage. Isaiah Fega, he's a junior. Let's see if he has any stats. Nope. Only 1 tackle. Terrence Green, 8 solo tackles. That's it. Fetue Henry, nothing about him. I might be just clicking on the wrong guys here. Edric Hill, he had 1.5 sacks. He'll get more reps as a senior for sure. Steve Bolo Manamume, I think that's how you say it. He's from Canada. They got some giants on their defensive line. Caleb Smith, anything about him? Nope. Devin Tompkins, 3 sacks. Okay, Tompkins is a good player. He's definitely one of their better defenders in the front 7. A lot of freshmen. Jake Ivey, anything about him? Nope, didn't play at all. John Marin Latham. I think Latham is the... no, he's not. Dude, I don't understand. They should have the stats with the depth chart here. Or just the roster. Jamarian Matthews. No, he's a freshman. Yeah, I don't press on freshmen because there was no stats. Luke Metz. I don't think there's anything about him. Booba Odom. Nothing. Yeah, the front 7 doesn't scare me. I don't feel like they pressure the QB enough. Yanez Pierre. Okay, Pierre is a good player. He had 8 sacks. This is a guy that could be definitely a first-round draft pick, maybe second-round draft pick. He's going to be good. QB Reese, 1 forced fumble. Desmond Omozulo, he had 1 sack. Caleb Woodson had only 26 tackles. It's not a lot for a linebacker. All right, this is the secondary. I got to look at their secondary because they have a lot of guys coming back. Xavier Brown is talented. He had 2 interceptions, 5 pass deflections. He's going into his junior season. This is a guy that can definitely play in the next level in the NFL. He's got good size at 6 feet, 194. London Hill, nothing about him. Bray Hubbard, anything about him? He had 4 interceptions, 3 forced fumbles, and 8 pass deflections. So he's talented, 6'2". I guess they play him in corner or safety. Dre Kirkpatrick Jr., I remember his dad. Only 1 forced fumble, so this is a guy that can definitely get more reps as a senior, or a junior, I mean. Xavier Mency, 1 pass deflection. They have good size on their corners, 6'3". Red Morgan, he had 1 forced fumble. Carmelo O'Neal, he had 1 forced fumble, 9 pass deflections. Okay. Nick Sherman. Nothing about him. Walter Sansing the third. Nothing about him. Probably walk on. And Ivan. Oh, sorry. This is so annoying with the stupid app thing. And then Ivan Taylor. So when I look at their roster, I'm very impressed with the size that they have at corner and for defensive backs. But their front seven doesn't scare me. It's not like it used to be when Saban was there. I feel like they played more mean and more aggressive when Saban was there. Whereas with DeBoer, yeah, they're still Alabama, but it's not the same. I really like Kalon. I think he's going to be good for them, but there's a lot of question marks on the running game and the front seven. I think that's going to be a problem for them. But I looked at their schedule. It's definitely manageable of winning at least 9 games, if not more. So let's look at their schedule. I think I had them going 10-2, maybe 9-3. Go over this. Sorry about the ads here. All right, so they start off with East Carolina. That's a win. At Kentucky. Some people are picking Kentucky to win because of Will Stein and what he's going to do and change with the Kentucky culture and make them a somewhat competitive football school. I just don't buy it. I think Kentucky will be decent. I think they'll be better than last season. But I don't think Kenny Menchie and company are going to be enough to defeat this Alabama team. And I think Alabama will win that game. I think it'll be close. It'll probably be like a 7-point, 3-point spread. Versus Florida State, they'll get revenge. We are not going to be good this year. That's a win. They'll destroy us. Versus South Carolina, that's a win because it's at home. I think South Carolina is overrated. I think they are a fraud, especially after last season. So this seems to be pretty easy so far. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4-0. At Mississippi State, some people will call that a trap game. I will not. That's a win. So 5-0. Versus Georgia, I think that's going to be a loss. I know it's at Alabama, but I think Georgia's a better team, and I think they have the upper hand in this one. So we'll have them at 5-1 here. At Tennessee, I'm not too high on Tennessee. There are also some question marks with them. They lost one of their best defenders to injury. They're starting a true freshman at QB. We'll see how that goes. And there are rumblings that Josh Heupel might be on the hot seat if they don't perform well. I don't think he should be because you have all these question marks. But when you have all those question marks, I will take Alabama any day. So Alabama will win that game. So now they're 6-1. Versus Texas A&M. I'm going to pick Alabama. I think Texas A&M, but Keelan Russell's great. But is Marcel Reed better? That's what I'm saying. Like I don't know if Marcel if he's going to go and perform well or not. But I think that if I was a betting man here, I'll take Alabama because it's at Alabama. That's probably going to be a night game. It'll be really annoying if it's a day game. Make it a night game because it'll be more exciting. But give me Alabama in that one. So I got them at 7-1, if I'm not mistaken, because I had them losing against Georgia. Yeah, so 7-1 at LSU. I'm pretty high on Lane Kiffin's roster. I'll go with LSU because it's at LSU. I think that Texas A&M game is going to tire the Crimson Tide out, and this is a game that will be close, but give me the Tigers. So now I got them at 2 losses. At Vanderbilt, I know that Vanderbilt gave them problems with Diago Pavia. He's no longer there. There's some question marks with their roster. Give me Alabama in that one versus Chattanooga. That's a win. And then versus Auburn, that's a win. So I got them at 10-2. I think Auburn will be improved, but it's at Alabama. So I can't pick against Alabama at Alabama against Auburn. So that's going to be hard for the Auburn Tigers to go and overcome. But let me put this on my phone. So Alabama 10-2. And that's the thing is like Kalen DeBoer, I think he's a great coach, and he gets a lot of flack, which he shouldn't deserve. Like, I could understand if they went 5-7, maybe 6-6, maybe 7-5, 8-4. That's not doing enough if you're the Alabama head coach. But they won 9 games last season, right? Let me look this up so I can fact check. We do fact checking here, folks. We don't get things wrong. Yeah, I can't believe I got Brett Bielema mixed up with Bo Perbula. That was a stupid brain fart last night. Alabama was. Dude, I wish they went 11-4. So technically they were 8-4. I'm getting my math wrong here, but they were second in the SEC, and I think that when you have this secondary come back, when you have this receiving core come back, and Kalen Russell, he might be better than Tyson. We'll see about that. I think their running game will improve. I don't think that will be a weakness like it was last season. I think they need to improve on that drastically. But they have a lot of games that are going to be toss-ups, but they're at home. And if you're picking Kentucky over Alabama, you're an idiot. I'm sorry. Like, that's just not going to happen. I want Kentucky to be good. I want Will Stein to have a good team. But he's in a rebuilding process over there. I think they'll be competitive, but I don't see them going better than like 6-6. They might go 7-5. But give me Alabama at 10-2. I'll take that any day. Let's go over Arkansas. I'm not going to look over their roster. I think they're a joke. I think Ryan Silverfeld is a joke. I don't think he has any aura. And they are going to really suck. I think they're one of the worst teams in the SEC. And they're irrelevant. They're just not good. So they're one of those teams that like I could skip going over and say, okay, you know what? I'm not going to waste my time analyzing their roster because they have KJ Jackson at QB. And KJ Jackson, I saw him play a little bit last season. He's not impressive at all. So I'm just going to pull up their schedule. They're not worth my time. They're a joke. They haven't been good. I feel like the last time I felt like they were relevant was in the late 2000s with Darren McFadden. Like, what have they done since then? They had Brett Bielema. It didn't work out, and they went off to Illinois. Now they get the Memphis head coach, Ryan Silverfeld. Silverfeld is not a good coach. So let's look at their schedule. This is one of those teams I can guarantee you they're going to go 3-9, maybe 2-10. Let's see. All right, so they start off with North Alabama. They'll win that game. At Utah, I think they'll lose that game. I have Utah winning the Big 12. I think some people would think that's an outrageous take, but they have a lot of guys coming back, even though there were some that left for Michigan to join. Man, why am I blanking on his face? Who was the Utah head coach that left? It's not the Michigan coach. Kyle Whittingham. So there's a huge transition with that team, but yeah, give me Utah in that game. So 1-1. Versus Georgia, they'll lose that game 1-2. Versus Tulsa, they'll win that game 2-2. At Texas A&M, that's a loss, 2-3. Versus Tennessee, that's a loss. So now they're 2-4. At Vanderbilt, I'll say that's a loss, 2-5. Versus Missouri, that's a loss, 2-6. At Auburn, that's a loss, 2-7. Versus South Carolina, I'll pick them to win that game. I think that's a game that South Carolina is going to somehow, some way lose. Beamer could be fired before then. He might not last the whole season. We'll see. But they're basically going to be not playing for anything at that point, nor is Arkansas. But give me the Razorbacks in that game. At Texas, that's a loss. And versus LSU, that's a loss. So I have them going 3. Let's see if I got this correct. I got them going 3-9 because I have them being North Alabama, Tulsa, and South Carolina. I think that's the one game that they'll get. But, they suck. They're not a good team, and they haven't been a good team in a while. And then when you hire the Memphis head coach, was that your first intention? Was that the guy you really wanted, or was he just the one that was available? I think the latter, and I think that they have some soul searching to go through. And I don't know how you could watch Arkansas football. They stink. Let's go over to the next team. The next team is, I think, Auburn, which I'm excited to go over. I think they're going to be very talented. If we're doing this alphabet. Yep, Auburn. All right, Auburn. I have high expectations with Auburn, but I'm also a realist. At first, when they got all these guys from USF with Alex Golish, I thought that they would go I seriously thought that they were going to go 8-4, but now that I looked at their schedule, I think they're more of a 7-5 team, so I'll go over their roster. And they're being led by Byron Brown, and Byron Brown is one of the better QBs in this conference. I think he has a lot of talent, but he also played in a lesser conference. He is an older guy. He's a senior, great size at 6'3", 235. He's a dual threat QB. Is he an NFL draft pick? He could be. He's playing in the big boy conference now, so let's see what he does. I mean, I know he beat Florida at the Swamp. That was very impressive. But yeah, I have high expectations with Byron Brown. I think he's really talented. Their running backs, they have Nakai Davenport. He's coming from USF. And Davenport is probably going to be the slated starter. He's very talented, good size at 6 feet, 212. He really showed out in some games, played really good against North Texas. And he also played good against Florida from what I remember. They have Jeremiah Cobb, who's coming back. Jeremiah Cobb is another guy to look out for. And Cobb is returning. So he's a returning senior. So Cobb and Davenport, that's a good 1-2 punch, man. And then Byron Brown is also a dual threat QB. So you have 3 guys can run the ball in the backfield position. All right, so I really like what they got going on in running back. I think Alvin Henderson was another guy that they got. No, he's coming from. He was back from last season. All right, let's look at their receivers. So Cobb and Davenport, good 1-2 punch. Jeremiah Koger, yeah, he's very talented. If you look at those stats. Chaz Nimrod, another guy that's very talented. I like what I see on offense. Corey Pettigrew, sorry. Nothing much about him. Keyshawn Singleton, I think he's another guy. So Singleton is good. Yeah, this is a good roster. Very good roster. Much better than Arkansas. Yeah, Arkansas is not worth my time, man. I will not watch their games. Sam Turner, nothing about him. Jack White, no, nothing about him, I don't think. Arliss Boardingham, all right, he played a little bit. Those stats will go up. Jonathan Eccles. He had 3 touchdowns. 6'6", a guy that can definitely catch in the tight end position. All right, and then if we look at their offensive line, a lot of sophomores. There's some seniors, but a lot of sophomores. So that's a little bit of a question mark. They have some seniors. I like their receivers, and I really do like their running backs with Cobb and Davenport. So we'll see how that goes. All right, let's look at their defense. There's a lot of question marks here. Malik Archery, only 5 tackles. That's not saying much. Jordan Crawford, nothing about him. St. Ferrier, half a sack, okay. Nate Johnson, nothing about him. Walter Mathis, no, I don't know anything about him. Chris Murray, 3.5 sacks, okay, decent numbers. Cody Sigler. He had 5 sacks. All right, so Cody Sigler's decent. He's a senior. He's returning. Dallas Walker, the 4th, 1 forced fumble. Okay. The defense has a lot of question marks, I feel like. Deshaun Womack, this is the guy that I covered him when we went over the transfer portal, I think. No, nothing about him. I don't know why he looked familiar. Maybe because the Ole Miss jersey, I don't know. Xavier Atkins, he had 9 sacks, so this is a guy that's very talented. He's coming out of the linebacker position, so he could definitely play on Sundays. Yeah, look out for him. Coleman Cranberry, nothing about him. Michael Matthews Canty, 2.5 sacks. Antonio Melendez, anything about him? Elijah Melendez are their brothers because they're both from Kissimmee. DeMarcus Reddick, did he play at all? 1 sack, okay. Yeah, the linebacker position's not bad. I mean, they're being led by Atkins. I think Atkins is very talented, but besides that, they have a lot of question marks here. Let's look at their corners. A lot of 6'2" guys. Okay. I'm assuming he played a little bit. He was a senior. Yep. A little bit. Rashawn Pleasant is another guy that probably played. 2 interceptions. Okay. Decent. Champ Anthony. What a name. It's a cool name, Champ. I would never name my son Champ, but I think it's a cool name. That fits. It's got to go. Fred Gaskin III. He had 1 forced fumble, 2 interceptions. Atkins is the best player on this defense for sure. Caleb Harris, 1 interception. Jacoby Matthews. Nothing about him. All right, that's pretty much it. Let's go over. Is anything about this guy? No. Yeah, so I'm going to look at their schedule. I like the offense, but the defense, there's a lot of question marks besides Atkins. I think he's their best defender. Yeah, let's look at their schedule. So we have them losing against Alabama. As much as I would like Auburn to win that game, I just don't think that's going to be possible because it's at Alabama. They almost beat Alabama at Auburn last year. They had a good shot, and then the fourth quarter they couldn't do it. All right, so to start off with Baylor, I think Baylor stinks. I think Baylor is a joke. DJ Lagway's terrible. You know, he's not a good QB. All right, so they win that game, so 1-0. Versus Southern Mississippi, that's a win, 2-0. Versus Florida. I know that Byron Brown beat Florida at Florida last year. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be a good game because it's a night game. I like Golish as a coach, but I also like Summerall. This is so hard to pick, man. You know what? I'm going to go with Auburn. 3-0. I think it's going to be really close. I think it's going to come down to the wire. And that is going to be a problem for the Gators. All right, Vanderbilt. They'll beat Vanderbilt 4-0. I think Vanderbilt's going to regress. At Tennessee, Tennessee has a true freshman QB. There's a lot of question marks with them. But I think this is a game that Byron Brown is going to lose. So I'll say that's a loss. At Georgia, that's a loss. Versus LSU, that's a loss. At Ole Miss, that's a loss. So, there is a gauntlet of games where they're going to find themselves not winning. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 straight losses. And who do they play after that? Let's see. They play against Arkansas. They'll win that game. At Mississippi State, they'll win that game. Versus Sanford, that's a gimme. They'll win that game. And then at Alabama, I say they lose that game. So I have them losing, let's see. I have them losing 4 straight here. At Tennessee, at Georgia, versus LSU, at Ole Miss. And did I say Tennessee? At Tennessee, I said that was a loss too. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I have them going 8-4, but I think Vegas had them going the win total. Let me look that up. So they have it at 6.5 wins. I would take the over. I think that this team has a lot of capabilities. I think they have a lot of talent. But the question with them is their defense. If they don't perform well, you're not going to see them win this many games. And there's a lot of question mark games. If you're playing against Tennessee, I just don't see them winning at Tennessee. I think Florida is a toss-up. Florida can win that game. I think Summerall is a better coach than Golish by a little bit, a smidge better. But we'll see how that goes. But, again, we'll have them at 8-4. I think that's generous because I think a lot of people are having them go 7-5, 6-6, which I understand. But they have a lot of guys that are seniors or well experienced enough to play up to that level. I got to put Arkansas's record in here. I did not do that. So Arkansas we had going 2-10 or 3. I got to look back at Arkansas. Hang on one second. I did not have them win that many games. I had Arkansas winning 3 games because I had them being South Carolina. That's right. All right, so they're 3-9. Okay. All right, so we're done with those two. Those 3 teams are done. Let's go on to the next one. And the next team we're going to go over is UF. Yep, UF, Florida. So John Summerall is going to go into his first season as the Florida head coach. They have a lot of transfers, but they also have some guys coming back. I really like Jaden Ball. I think he's one of the best running backs in the nation, and if he performs well enough, he could be in the Heisman front-runner list if this team can win 9 or 10 games. I don't think they will, but this team is probably going to be better than expected. I don't like the QB, though. Aaron Philo, I think he's decent, but he had a small sample size being the backup to Haynes King over at Georgia Tech. And a lot of people were confused of why he didn't come back, but I don't think that offense fit him. It was not the same system that he was used to playing in high school. So Philo has good size at 6'1", 207, but can he be a starter? I don't know. I think that this is a big question mark, but they can rely on Jaden Ball, and then Aaron Philo will be just a game manager. He doesn't have to throw 300 yards a game for them to win. He has to just do the simple throws, do the game management that he can, not make mistakes, and then they can win more games. So he doesn't have to be amazing to be good in this offense. Jaden Ball, just going to go over him in detail. I didn't realize he was 6'1". I thought he was a little bit shorter. But 1,170 yards, 8 touchdowns. This guy is one of the best running backs in the nation. You cannot say anything bad about Jaden Ball. Jaden Ball is the man. And then I think the backup running back is Jimenez, if I'm not mistaken, or Byron Lute. No, that he's a freshman. No, Kevin Jimenez is not the backup running back. Is it Montgomery? Or Pryor? It's Montgomery. So when you have Jaden Ball and Montgomery, those are, they're a good package. That's a good 1-2 punch. And I like Davenport and Cobb, but I'll take Montgomery and Ball over them any day. So the running backs are talented. The receivers, Vernal Brown Jr., Vernal Brown the third, he's coming back. I'm surprised he didn't have any touchdowns last season. He's a native Gainesville guy. They also had somebody else that they had in their offense here. Was it Singleton? Yeah, Singleton's good. Singleton's talented. I think he's going to go more reps. He's playing in the slot. Makai Mays, he's decent. No, Jalen Lloyd didn't even play. Khalil Jackson, did he play at all? Nope. Jaden Edgecombe? Nope. Yeah, this kid's going to be good. Marquez Daniel. He's got good size, 6'5", 219. Yeah, the receivers there's a little bit of there's more to be told with the receivers. I think they need a little bit more on that position. Although I don't know if I'm reading off this right correctly. TJ Abrams, he played a little bit as a sophomore, freshman. Let's see, tight end, Evan Cheek. Yeah, Evan Cheek is good. 255 yards receiving, had 4 touchdowns. He's from Lindenhurst. I actually grew up not too far away from Lindenhurst in Long Island. I know where that is, actually. Dakota Dirpre, he played decent for them. Yeah, so the tight end position is a strong suit for them. Jalen Jordan. I feel like Florida always produces tight ends. He's not playing. All right. They have a lot of juniors and seniors coming back on their offensive line. Actually, no, a lot of juniors. Not a lot of seniors. But still, that's good nonetheless. Let's look at their defense. I like their offense a lot. Brendan Beat, 3 sacks. Mason Quinton, only 6 tackles. He's coming from Southern Mississippi. Jaden Gross, he's a freshman. Cameron James, he had 3.5 sacks. DK Kalu, nothing much about him. Jamari Lyons, nothing much about him. I don't know. This front 7 looks weak. I think I'm not looking at the right guys. Yeah, see, these are guys with only single-digit tackles. Yeah, there's nothing much about these guys. LJ McCray, 1/2 sack. This guy's from England. He had 4.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. Sebastian Scott, he's from West Palm. Nothing much about him. I have West Palm Beach guys. I'm not far away from there. Jalen Wiggins, he's from Tallahassee. Kofi Asar, he's a senior. He's a 6'5" linebacker. 1 sack. All right, so he's got to do a little bit more for them. TJ Board. Nothing much about him. I feel like their defense was good at times, and then other times it was head scratching. Like, what are they doing? Chris Emmanuel III. Nothing much about him. Jaden Robinson, he had 2 sacks and 1 forced fumble. Vincent Brown, let's look at their corners here. Nothing much about him. Javari Flowers, 4 pass deflections, that's not saying much. Ben Hanks, the third, he had 1 interception. All right. Is it me, or do all these guys have the same haircut? I feel like I've seen like 12 guys with the same haircut here. CJ Hester, he's a freshman. Dejon Johnson, he had 1 interception. Javion Toombs, nothing much about him. Alonzo Allen Jr., I think that's a guy that was on there. Yeah, 14 tackles. DJ Coleman, he had 2 interceptions. All right, so he's decent. He's playing safety. Bryce Forden, 6 pass deflections, 1 interception. And Braden Slade. Anything about him? No. All right, so when I look at their defense, I think there's a lot of question marks. I think the offense is great, but the defense, I'm like, and that's where, like, I think Auburn can outscore them. I think that's going to be a high-scoring game. It'll be a shootout. But because it's at Auburn, that's why I picked Auburn. Let me look at their schedule. Their win total, I think, was at, let's see. They have them at 7.5 because the schedule is kind of easy. But John Summerall, let's see what they do here. Like I said before, Van File, I think he'll be decent for them, but not great. And I don't know if that's going to get them over 7 wins. I think they'll get over 7 wins, but They're not a playoff team. I can tell you that for a fact. They'll need like a year or two before they're in that echelon. Summerall recruits good, and he also gets transfers, so they're in good hands. All right, they play against Florida Atlantic, which is the school not too far away from me. They'll beat Florida Atlantic, so that's 1-0 versus Campbell. That's a win, 2-0. I have them losing against Auburn. I just think because it's at Auburn, 2-1, and it's also a night game at Jordan Air. That's going to be really tough for them, but I think it'll be close, and I wouldn't be surprised if they beat Auburn. I'll definitely watch that game. I'll catch it. So 2-1. Versus Ole Miss, because it's at Florida. Ole Miss has a lot of guys coming back, though. But when you look at John Summerall compared to Pete Golding, I would really like to pick Florida in this one, but I think Ole Miss will pull it off, so they're 2-2. At Missouri, I think they win that game. I'm surprised Missouri's ranked. I don't think they should be ranked. I'll go over the top 25 on Thursday when we go over week 0. I'll give my top 25 picks, or top 25 in my opinion. So, yeah, I think they beat Missouri in that game. They'll be 3-2 versus South Carolina because it's at home. They'll win that game 4-2. At Texas, that's a loss. 4-3 versus Georgia, that's a loss. Especially now that it's being played in Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Georgia and Atlanta. That's home field advantage for the Dogs. So give me Georgia in that one. So that's a loss. Versus Oklahoma. Apparently, this is the first time ever that Oklahoma has ever faced off against Florida in the Swamp. Give me the Gators, man. I just think this is going to be such a trap game for Oklahoma. It's a game that they should win, but I just don't see it. So give me UF in that one. At Kentucky, I think Kentucky – I like Kenny Menchie. I think he's better than Aaron Philo, but I don't think Will Stein is as good of a head coach as John Summerall. So I will take Florida in that one. So give me the Gators in that one. Vanderbilt, that's a home game, so they'll win that one. And then versus my Seminoles suck. I'll be honest, I'm not a homer. I'm not biased. Give me the Florida Gators in that one too. So I have them winning. Let me go over the losses. So I think they'll lose against Auburn, Ole Miss, Texas, and Georgia. As crazy as it may sound to a lot of people, take the over. Take the over. Definitely take the over because they're at 7.5. I got them winning 8 games. I think John Summerall is a great coach, and I think Jaden Baugh and the other running back are going to do enough to catapult them to 8 wins. Could they win 9? Yes. Could they win 10? No. I think that this team, that's the window they should be looking at. You should be looking for 8 wins. If you get more than that, that's great. Even if you get 8 wins, that's great too. In first year, in a tough conference, a very tough conference, the biggest, the biggest teams and the best teams, give me UF at going at 8-4. I think that's reasonable. I really do. But it wouldn't surprise me if they beat, Auburn at Auburn. Wouldn't shock me. All right, next up we got. I got to look at the rosters here. So that was UF. They were down to 4 more teams. It's a long night, folks. Georgia. Let's go over the Bulldogs. Dogs. All right, so they're being led by Kirby Smart, who's in his 10th season as the Georgia head coach. He's done a remarkable job with the Bulldogs. I've heard some people say that they're going to go 12-0. I think they could. I have them going, I think, 11-1. I got to look at their schedule again, but they're led by Garner Stockton. And Garner Stockton is one of the best QBs in the nation and one of the best QBs in the SEC. I think he's underrated. I will say that. He's a tough kid. He takes tough hits. He can be dual threat at times. Garner Stockton is very underrated. And if people think he's overrated, they don't think he's that good. Check out the game that he played against Tennessee at Tennessee last season, and it was in a shootout. He was balling out. I think he's talented. I think he's really talented. Okay. The running backs, Nate Frazier's coming back. I've always liked Nate Frazier, but he gets hurt at times. I think that this season he can rush for over 1,000 yards. Surprisingly, he only had 6 touchdowns. So he's been terrific. Another guy to look out for in their offense for running back is Dante Dow. He's been talented as well. So Dow and Frazier are a great 1-2 punch. I don't think they're the best 1-2 punch. Again, I think Florida has the best running backs. Chauncey Bowens, he's another guy to look out for. So Bowens, Dowd, and Frazier is a three-headed monster. So they know how to mix and match with their running backs. They run different styles. Let's look at the receivers. They did lose some guys to the draft. Walter Blanchard, nope, he never played. Isaiah Cannon definitely played. He's got it. Yeah. Canyon was good. I think Danny Curran played. No, he did not. I just said actually he was a senior, probably walk on. Humphreys, I know, definitely has played. Humphreys is good. He's a tough kid. He takes a lot of big hits. He's a good receiver. A lot of freshmen on the receiving corps. So I don't know. I don't think this guy played. Maybe Roland played. He barely played. They have a lot of freshmen on receiver. I think that's going to be one of their biggest issues is the receivers are kind of, I don't know, man. They got a lot of mid receivers. Jeremiah Bell, did he play at all? No, not really. Got a lot of sophomores, got a lot of freshmen. Cannon is easily the best one out of them. I don't know how that's going to go. I do like their running backs. They're run first team, I feel like. When we look at their tight ends, they got a lot of freshmen. Lawson Lucky, I like. He's a great story. He helps out his brother who's disabled. If you haven't watched that piece, ESPN did a great piece about him and his brother. It's really heartwarming. I think he should get more reps, honestly. He doesn't get enough, I feel like. Bobo, I think, no, he did not play that much. Oh, he's an offensive lineman, my bad. Yeah, they're kind of thin on tight ends, man. Did C.J. Wiley play at all? A little bit. He's got good size at 6'4". Look for him to do more in that offense. Guys, I'll be right back. I'm going to get some water. Some water. All right, I'm back. That sound that you heard was my refrigerator. All right, so their offense, I like the running backs, but the tight ends and receivers are a little bit weak for me. But the defense is going to be good this season. I think their defense has always been solid under Kirby Smart, except for those games against Ole Miss. They seem to struggle against the Rebels, but we'll talk about that in a little bit because they could get revenge on them. This guy barely played. My bad. Elijah Griffin. Anything about him? 1 sack. Okay, that's decent. 1 forced fumble. That's good for a freshman. Yeah, he's going to his sophomore year. Jordan Hall. Nothing much about him. A lot of freshmen, a lot of sophomores. J.J. Hanney, nothing much about him. Xavier McLeod, he had 8 solo tackles, okay. Namide Agabuku, maybe that's how you say it. He had 1 sack, okay. Yeah, there's a lot of freshmen, man. Chris Cole, he had to play. Yeah, he had 4.5 sacks. All right, that's decent numbers. 35 solo tackles. That's good for a linebacker. Terrell Foster, only 4 tackles. It's not saying much. Gabe Harris, 1 sack. Quintavious Johnson, he had 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble. A lot of freshmen. Zayden Walker, he had 2 sacks. Yeah, they got talent, man. They definitely got talent. Amarius Williams, he had 2 sacks. Justin Williams, nothing much about him. All right, let's look at their corners. KJ Bolden, he had 2 interceptions. Braylon Conley, he had 1 forced fumble. They got good size. A lot of guys are over 6 feet here. DeMello Jones, 19 tackles. Kyron Jones, 13 tackles. Gentry Williams, 6 total tackles. That's not saying much. Khalil Barnes, 24 tackles. They don't have a lot of guys with interceptions. I'm shocked. Zion Branch. Nope, nothing really. Jamarle Riddle, he had so Riddle's a good player. He had 3 interceptions. A lot of freshmen. But yeah, let me look at their schedule. I think Garner Stockton is going to take them to the playoff for sure. I think they're definitely a playoff team. My nose is getting runny. All right, versus Tennessee State, that's a win. Versus Western Kentucky, that's a win. Versus Arkansas, that's a win. Versus Oklahoma, that's a win. Versus Vanderbilt, that's a win. I have them being Alabama. I think that'll be a close game, but I think that Garner Stockton and his leadership, and guy's a senior. He's been there. He's done it. I think he'll get the job done. Versus Auburn, that's a win. Versus Florida, that's a win. At Ole Miss, they've had trouble with Ole Miss. I'm going to say that's a loss. So that's the one game I'm thinking that they lose. Versus Missouri, that's a win. At South Carolina, that's a win. And versus Georgia Tech, that's a win. So I got them going 11-1. They're a playoff team. And some people are saying they'll beat Ole Miss, they'll get revenge. I think that game is going to be exciting to watch. I think it's going to be thrilling. But give me Georgia 11-1, definitely a playoff team, and probably the best team in this conference if I had to give a guess. Them or Texas. Yeah, I think Alabama's talented too, but I just think that Texas and Georgia are a little bit above them. I think Alabama could sneak into the playoff. I don't think they're going to get a bye, but they'll play in like one of those first round matchups. All right, now we go on to, so that was the 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, so we got 3 more teams to cover. Next team we cover is Kentucky. Will Stein going into his first year as the Kentucky head coach. Kenny Minchie is the QB. I'm optimistic with Kentucky, but I also am a realist, like I said before. I think that Will Stein was a great coordinator with that Oregon offense. Can he work his same magic with the Wildcats? We'll see. Let's look at their roster. And Kenny Minchie, he was the former QB of Notre Dame, and he lost his battle to who did he lose his battle to? Hang on one second. I am blank on names. C.J. Carr. C.J. Carr is very talented, but I think Kenny Minchie, he knew that he was going to not be able to win that game. He was not going to be able to win that position over C.J. Carr, and so he took the easy route out, and he went over to an SEC team that could be a contender in a few years. I think there are a lot of question marks. Let's look at the running backs. Javonte Barnes barely played. C.J. Baxter, yeah, he played okay. Devontae Meisel, they barely played. I'm not impressed with the running backs, man. Yeah, running backs, they're pretty mid. I guess Jason Patterson is the starter. I don't know. Running backs are weak. Let's look at the receivers. Nick Anderson, he did okay. Shane Carr. Shane Carr's probably their number 1 receiver. Good size. Ashton Kozart, did he play at all? No, not really. Xavier Daisy played a little bit. And this offense is not very talented. Hardly Gilmore the fourth. What a name. Let's see if he's good. Okay, he played decent. He's from Belgrade. That's not too far away from me. 28 receptions, 313 yards receiving, and 1 touchdown. All right, so he's decent. What a name. Hardly Gilmore the fourth. Spencer Ledbetter. Nope, he never played. Probably a walk-on. DJ Miller, did he play at all? He played all right. Yeah, wide receiver, they're weak. It's not a good position for them. I feel like some years they produce tight ends. Let's see. Henry Boyer. He's got good size, but he hasn't done much. Elijah Brown, nothing much about him. Justin Cactus from Cincinnati, nothing much about him. Willie Rodriguez. Okay, Willie Rodriguez played all right. All right. They got some freshmen, a lot of sophomores coming back on their offensive line. Yeah, it's not very talented. Keelan Edwards. Honestly, I think I'm just going to skim for their defense. Yeah, this offense I'm not a fan of. Let's look at key defensive players. Let's kind of speed this up. Jamarian Harkless, see his numbers. So I guess I'm just looking things up because I'm getting tired. I did a 2-hour podcast last night, so give me a break. He had 2.5 sacks. Okay. This guy, anything about him? Tavon Gatson, 2.5 sacks. Sam Green, he was considered all SEC. He's a linebacker, 1 sack. Not saying much. I mean, maybe he'll get more opportunity. I don't know. See this guy, Antoine Smith, nothing about him. Ty Barron, I feel like they're making up stuff because look at their stats. I'm like, these guys are not. He's good. Ty Barron's good. He had 4 picks. Jordan Katzel. He had 2 interceptions. All right. So they got some guys on defense. They got some dogs. Let's go over their schedule here. All right, versus Kansas. That's a win. I think Kansas is going to suck. I think they're one of the worst Big 12 teams. So 1-0. Versus North Carolina. You know what I think about Bill Belichick being in college. Get out of here. Get fired mid-season. 2-0. Oh, wait, this is the basketball schedule. I'm sorry. I got to take a break there. I'm looking at the schedule, and it said first game. That's how I know I'm tired. Like, that was such a brain fart, man. Oh, my gosh. All right, let's look at the football schedule. I'm sorry. I got to catch my wind. Oh, my gosh. All right. This is what happens when you're not organized. Like, I do things on the fly. I don't care. I'm doing this for fun. I don't have sponsors. Youngstown State, they win that game versus Alabama. That's a loss. Although people are picking them to beat Alabama, I just don't see it. I look at this roster; it's very weak, especially on the offensive side. Kenny Minchie, I think he's good, but I don't think he's going to do enough to beat Kalen Russell. So give me Alabama in that one. They're 1-1 at Texas A&M. I think they'll get killed 1-2. Versus South Alabama, that's a win, 2-2. At South Carolina, give me that game. Give me that game. I think South Carolina's a fraud. I think Beamer's going to get fired midseason. So 3-2. They'll lose against LSU. They'll lose against Oklahoma. They'll beat Vanderbilt. They'll lose against Tennessee. I have them losing against UF. I think that game could go either way, though, but I got the Gators because I like Summerall. I think he's a better coach, and I think Will Stein, being a first-year head coach, is going to be a bit of a learning experience for him. At Mizzou, I'm picking Mizzou to win that game. And then versus Louisville, I have Louisville winning that game. So give me, let's see what games I have them winning. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, dude, I'm not too high on them. Some people have them going 6-6. I got them going 4-8. I don't like their roster, and I like Will Stein. I want him to perform well for them as a head coach. I want Kenny Minchie to do well for them, but the roster is just not great. And you can argue me on that. Maybe they can win the Tennessee game, but yeah, 4-8, man. I don't think they're as good as what people may think they are. What's their win total from Vegas? Let's look. Yeah, they have them at 4.5 wins. I would pick the under. They're one injury from getting a disaster season. And again, I'm rooting for Will Stein. I want him to do well. I want Kentucky to do well, but I just don't think it's going to be a good first year for him, and it's going to be a learning curve. Again, I've do believe in a few years they'll compete, but right now it's all a process. It's all a learning experience. So if you go 4-8, it's not the end of the world. And Kentucky fans have to be real. Like, you're rebuilding. You're starting off from scratch. You have a new QB. You have a new head coach. It's going to take some time. If they beat Alabama, yeah, that would be nuts. But I just don't see it. I'll root for them, but I just don't see it. All right, so we got 2 more teams to go over, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I got LSU and Mississippi State. Okay, LSU cannot stand Lane Kiffin. I think he's disloyal. I think he's very sleazy, and I think he is a weirdo, especially when he's doing Instagram and Twitter posts of him without a shirt off in a yoga studio or Pilates studio, whatever he does, yoga or Pilates, I don't care. Guy's a weird dude. He's a good coach. He's a good recruiter, but he's a slime ball. All right, let me look at their roster. This team I'm going to definitely analyze. I didn't really analyze Kentucky because I don't think they're going to be that good. Mississippi State, I'm going to be the same way. They're after LSU. I will not really do a deep dive on them. LSU, I have higher expectations for. Let's go over the Tigers. They're being led by Lane Kiffin his first year there. Sam Levitt is the new guy in town. And here's my take with Sam Levitt. I think he's talented. I think he could be one of the better QBs in the SEC. But his durability is a question, man. In each of the last couple seasons, he's gotten hurt. I don't remember what injury he had last season. I think it was a. Let's look that up. He had a right foot injury. That's a big deal. That's the back leg, and if he gets hurt again on his right foot, and he can't plan it properly, he's going to throw picks. And he's a bit of a dual threat QB. I could definitely see him doing well for this offense, but that's a bit of a question mark if he gets hurt. You don't really have a backup. Like, who's their backup guy? Houston Laundrie or Landon Clark? I don't know. Let's look at the running backs. Caden Durham. I think he's talented. I think he could be one of the better running backs in this conference. He's underrated. Another guy to look out for, not this guy, because there's no stats on him. Rod Gainey Jr. Yeah, Rod Gainey Jr. and Durham could be a good 1-2 punch, but they're not one of the better duos in the SEC. Harlan Berry. What a name, Harlan Berry. Okay, he played all right. Decent numbers. Not amazing, but decent. Did Dylan Jones play? Okay, Dylan Jones played a little bit. Yeah, because they got like a free-headed monster at running back, but they got to play better. They definitely got to play better. I mean, I think Durham's going to be the leader. Let's look at the receivers. Jace Brown, he's coming from... Was he playing for them last season? I think he did. I'm going to look that up. No, he played at... where did he play? I think he played at Colorado. No, Kansas State. Okay. Yeah, he's talented. He's definitely talented. He's going to be in the slot. So that's a guy to look out for, Jace Brown. Malik Elzy. Nothing much about him. Tyree Holloway. Nothing much about him. Josh Jackson. Okay, he did all right. This guy got in the end zone. This guy's a giant. Roman Mothershed, 6'5", 208. Whoa. Okay. Decent numbers. They got to utilize him more. I think he could be a good number one target. Winston Watkins, he played all right from Fort Myers. Eugene Wilson, he was coming from UF. I know about him. I think. Yep. I was wondering where he went. Yeah, I know about him. Eugene Wilson is talented. He's got good speed. Had a bit of a down season last season, but he could definitely play better with a better QB. Yeah, I'll take Sam Levitt over Aaron Philo any day. Yeah, Eugene Wilson's talented. Let's go over their tight ends. Landon Craig, nope, nothing about him. Probably a walk-on. Zach Race, nothing about him. Trudez Green, he played good, and this is barring not getting that guy from the Browns. I don't think he's going to be eligible. This guy had 7 touchdowns. Trudez Green is good. He's one of the best tight ends in this conference. He's nasty, tall too, 6'7", 237. Look out. Malachi Thomas, did he play at all? Yeah, he did all right. So they got a good 1-2 punch at tight end. You have a 2 tight end set like the Patriots did years ago. All right, let's go over their defense. Actually, I'll look up key defenders. Because I am exhausted, guys. I didn't get much sleep last night because it was editing. I was up until 2. Harold Perkins Jr. Yep, Harold Perkins Jr. is. Oh, he played on. He's on the Falcons. What am I doing? Whit Weeks. He's dating. What's his face? He's dating Lane Kiffin's daughter. I do know about him. He got hurt during the season now. He needs to stay healthy. He's a big part of their defense. So they need him to, definitely stay healthy. Devon Keys, another linebacker that's talented for them. He had half a sack. Brancewell Arumilan. And he played for Ole Miss. He's nasty. 9 sacks for Ole Miss. Yeah, he's nasty. Very good player. Dominic McKinley. This kid is built like a tank. 6'6", 297. Have fun. Yeah, they got size on their defensive tackles. Jordan Ross, he's coming from Tennessee. One and a half sacks. Okay. Dylan Carpenter, he's another guy to look out for. 2 sacks. He's going to get a bigger role this season. And then the secondary. This guy's returning. He had 2 interceptions. Deshaun Spears, another safety for them. He had 2 interceptions. All right, so I'm impressed with their defense. I think their defense is better than their offense. I do think Levitt's a good QB, but is he great? No, I don't. That's the whole thing. It comes down to how they're going to do in that schedule. Let's go over their schedule here. And then Mississippi State, man, I'm just going to analyze their key players, and then I am going to call it a night. I am exhausted. And then I got a hockey game tomorrow night, playoff game. And then after that game, I'm going to analyze the rest of the SEC. So I'm doing 3 podcasts this week. It's crazy. Busy time, but I love it. Can't complain. Let's go over the schedule. So LSU plays against Clemson. I think I picked Clemson to win that game. I think I think Clemson's time has run out, right? But Dabo's going to have them play inspired. I think that can be a shocker. And they lost against LSU last year at home. You know what? I'll pick Clemson to win that game. Shockingly, yeah. Call me crazy. I got Clemson winning that game, so they're 0-1. They'll beat Louisiana Tech. At Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin's return to Oxford. Loss. Oh, man. Nothing would make me more happy to see him lose against Ole Miss, his old team. And they're going to use a lot of bulletin board material against them. Give me the Rebels, man. So I got them at 1-2. Versus Texas A&M. Marcel Reed or Sam Leavitt? Give me Marcel Reed, man. That's the loss. So I got them at 1-3. So there's going to be some controversy. They'll beat McKenzie. So they'll be 2-3. At Kentucky, I have them being Kentucky. Versus Mississippi State, I have them being them. At Auburn, I picked. I think I picked them to beat Auburn. Yeah. So that's a win. Versus Alabama, I have them being Alabama because it's a home game. Versus Texas. Okay, so I think Arch Manning's going to ball out in that game. I think it's going to be really close. I think it's going to be really even. But I think Texas has better players. Give me Texas in that one, so that's a loss. At Tennessee, I think they win. And then at Arkansas, I think they win. I'm not too high on Tennessee, man. I think Tennessee's going to have a lot of letdown games. So let's look at their win and loss record. The games that I have them winning. Louisiana Tech, Texas A&M. Oh, no. Louisiana Tech, McKenzie, so that's 2 wins. Kentucky, Mississippi State, so that's 4 wins. Auburn is 5. Alabama is 6. Tennessee is a win, and then at Arkansas, so they'll win 2 games out of the 3 left to go 8-4. I think that's reasonable. I don't think that they are a playoff team, but they will be competitive. They're going to be a pest, and see them, compete for a playoff spot in year 2, not in year 1. All right, let's go over to the last team, Mississippi State. Honestly, guys, I am just going to cover their schedule. I'm going to look at their roster on my phone. And actually, I'll Google it. Their QB is Camario Taylor. And there's big expectations for Camario Taylor. I think he's decent, but he's got good size. He's 6'4". I'll show a screen him. He's 6'4", 230. But he has a lack of experience. And that's a question mark. I think that when you have a guy that's never started really before be your starter, there's going to be some issues here. Let's look at their running backs. Fluff Boofwell. I look at his stats. That's an interesting name. Fluff Boofwell. All right, let's look at him. Hang on 1 second. So he had 677 yards and 6 touchdowns. Not bad. He's decent. Colin Wilson. Nothing much about him. Zaire Gayton. Let's see his stats. 2 touchdowns, 157 yards. Yeah, I'm not really going to analyze their defense. Their defense stinks. They had that game against Texas, and they blew in the second half. I'll never forget watching that. I was like, what the heck is going on with them? So the receiver, he got drafted. Yeah, you know that's bad if your leading receiver's gone. A lot of freshmen on the receiving end. Anthony Evans, is he a starter? Yeah, okay. Anthony Evans is good. Not bad. Decent numbers for this guy. Nothing about this guy. They have a lot of question marks on receiver. Yeah, I don't like this roster. I think there's a lot of weaknesses. All right, let's go over their schedule because I'm exhausted, guys, and then I got to edit this and then I go to sleep. Let's do it. I mean, who would want to stay up analyzing Mississippi State? Let's be real. Unless if you're a Mississippi State fan. No offense, guys. I just don't think your team's interesting. Let's go over the win and loss record here. Yeah, not a fan of this roster. I think there's a lot of question marks. Camario Taylor, I think he could be good, but I don't know. All right, they play against University of Louisiana Monroe. They'll win that game. I didn't know ESPNU was still around. I thought they got rid of that channel. So that's a win at Minnesota. That's a loss. Some people think it's going to be a fun game. I don't. 1-1 at South Carolina. I think they lose that game. 1-2 versus Missouri. I'll say they'll lose that game too. So 1-3. Versus Alabama, that's a loss. 1-4. At LSU, that's a loss. 1-5. Versus Oklahoma, that's a loss. 1-6. At Texas, that's a loss. 1-7. Versus Vanderbilt, I'll pick Vandy. That's a loss. 1-8. Versus Auburn, that's a loss. Tennessee Tech. Yeah, you know what? They'll go 2-10. This team stinks. I have nothing else left to say. They don't have a better roster than those other teams I mentioned. Some people think they can win. Like, what is their win total? I mean, that's reasonable. So we went over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Their win and loss record, their win total for this season, 4.5. Bet the under, man. Like, they stink. I think this team. Jeff Lebby is a decent head coach. He's not great. He's not good. They don't really have any redeeming qualities. And again, their defense. I saw what I saw when they played against Texas. I remember watching that game and I'm like, oh, they have a shot to beat Texas because I didn't want Texas to win. Oh my gosh, was that embarrassing how they blew that game. That was really bad. And, yeah. I can't imagine if I was Brandon Walker and he saw that firsthand. Like, that's heartbreaking, man. You see your team lose like that, and you're right next door. I mean, you're right next to the field. I mean, you're right on the field when that happens, right in the end zone. Yeah, they're going to go 2-10, man. All right, guys, I'm going to call it a night. Thank you for watching. Again, this was episode 17, the SEC Part 1. We're going to go over the rest of the SEC tomorrow. I might not have a voice tomorrow. We'll see. I do need to cover it because we are going to get up to week 0 before we know it. We're going to cover week 0 and go over the AP top 25. I'll give my opinions, my takes, and I'll kind of give my Rico top 25, and I'll probably post it online and see if anybody has anything to say. But again, thank you guys for watching, and I appreciate it all, and good night.